when we started our predictions for the tournament, I did predict Ireland to win a Grand Slam, and they've won. But their fans must be very happy, especially in a World Cup year. How do we think Ireland performed the Six Nations?
Perfect. I mean, the only game they had a slight tip up was the England game when England had their backs up from the previous game. But apart from that, they nullified every other team and just dismantled every single team the other team had to offer, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think it's very hard to pick out a weakness in the Ireland team. As Jeff said, they as Jeff said, you know what to expect from them, and they're a team that's gonna want to get out in front of you and dominate you. So it's just a question of, can they do that against every team in the world now? They've shown
I completely agree with both of you, but I don't think they can get better. That's where I don't think they can win the World Cup, because they played amazingly. They were outstanding every single game, but I just don't think they can get better.
What do they have to do to prove? Jack, what do they have to do to prove?
They're just so limited. Like, where they are kicking wise, they're outstanding, yeah. But then you look at attack and go forward with the backs. I just think they're so limited. I just don't think they can be better.
What do you mean by limited?
I mean, in a sense, like, out of that whole back line, I wouldn't say there's one player there that can create something out of nothing. I think as a unit, as a structure, they're outstanding together. But there's not one player that can pick up the ball and go, "I'm going to win you this game." They have to do it together.
They're not that kind of team, Jack. They get out.
I would argue the same thing about South African team without Colby, and it's looking more likely that Colby won't be in. No, do not tell me Am creates something out of nothing. For all of his unreal qualities, he's not a magician.
You don't think Am is a creative player?
I don't think he creates something out of nothing. I think he needs the pieces there.
Did you not see his disallowed try versus New Zealand last year? Breaks through the line.
Well, yeah, okay, but that's not that's a good blocking line.
Yeah, well, we talk about South Africa. The point is, I just think Ireland are a very well-structured team, but when it comes to it, in a big game, you need that one player that can do something magical. And I don't
think you do. I think Sexton's that player.
No, Kieran. Where you're getting confused with Ireland. I agree. Kieran, where you're getting confused with Ireland is Sexton arguably currently right now in the world isn't the top three for like half.
They don't need to be a top three player to be as good as they are.
No. And I'm not disagreeing, but Kieran said Sexton's a player that can create something out of nothing. Jack said it here before, and it's very true. Sexton is a player that's a beneficiary of a very good system. But in terms of raw talent and the ability to create something out of nothing like Barrett, like Mwanga, like Untermatt can, he has not yet developed that skill, right? Ireland.
He's not remember against France.
Huh?
Do you not remember against your little France team? He knocked over a drop goal to win the game to win the Six Nations. He literally single-handedly from the own half banged it over. You talk about big game moments. Sexton is a big game player. He will get you the win. He hasn't done it a World Cup.
Kieran, in every quarterfinal he's ever played in, he's never played that well. So don't claim that he's a big game player. Because when it comes down to it, in the World Cup, which is by far the biggest trophy there is in rugby, he doesn't play well. And I see it happening again.
Can we stop talking about previous World Cups? They don't matter. They're 4 years ago, 8 years ago, 12 years ago.
You're just stupid. You think that experience has nothing to do with anything. You think that a team's culture has nothing to do with everything. Why do you think South Africa always get far? Because as a unit, they have a culture and a belief that they'll win the World Cup. Ireland don't.
Do you not think
Ireland have that belief this year?
Ireland didn't have a culture.
Listen. Being ranked the top team in the world, there obviously is a culture there and a belief in the team.
When they ranked in 2019?
2019.
Stop talking about the past. We're talking about this Ireland.
2019, they were not the first ranked team going into the World Cup.
Well, they were ranked 21 in 2019.
Because that Six Nations, they finished like third.
Can I make a point about this Irish team, Rohan? This Irish team, Ireland. Let's not doubt Ireland and what they're doing before. What they're doing before has been done before. They've always proven to be a very good test team. They've beaten New Zealand before. They've beaten South Africa before. They've beaten England before. There's always been good Irish team over throughout the past at test level. Ireland have always had a very good team. However, one thing that cannot be denied about Ireland, right, and I don't think is going to change, this cohort's not going to be the cohort to change it. They've not got the ability, they've not got the skill to change this, right? they're not going to change Ireland's World Cup fate, especially with who they have to play. Especially
I think. All right. Well, the one situation where there's echo, by the way. The one situation where I'm agreeing with Taddy and Jack, I don't think Ireland can get much better. I don't think they can, but they're at a quality now where they're good enough to win a World Cup. They are.
There's no doubt about it.
The players.
Rohan, if they were on the other side, I would say yes. But then, Rohan, you literally said France can win a World Cup. I think New Zealand could win the World Cup. South Africa can win the World Cup.
I think there's three, 4 teams good enough to win the World Cup, and I think Ireland's one of them.
Okay, but would you put Ireland over New Zealand, South Africa, and France?
I'd say there's no reason why they can't beat New Zealand or South Africa.
They've just beaten the All Blacks in a 3 Test series down in
when Kieran, this was at the start of New Zealand international season. Ioane, let me see them beat Ioane. Let me see them beat them with Ioane and Barrett in the centre, which is arguably, I think Amadi Allende are amazing, but I think Ioane and Barrett's going to be the best centre combination in the world come the World Cup.
Well, the point is, the last time they played, Taddy, you talk about history all the time. I'm going to go to history myself. They beat the All Blacks in their own country, in their own backyard. Beat them in the Test series. They beat South Africa last autumn.
Without kicker. Let's have some context. That's
South Africa's problem. And they've just beaten France in the Six Nations. The 3 teams you've listed to win this World Cup, they beat in the last year. So you can't talk about Ireland aren't game players. They won't win games. They can beat the best teams consistently.
Kieran, your logic is so flawed. Kieran, your logic is so flawed.
Wait, no. Wait. All right. Taddy, go first. Why is Kieran's logic flawed?
Kieran's logic of because for example, if you look at England 2019, England in 2018, right, beat South Africa but didn't beat New Zealand. They went to the World Cup, beat New Zealand but didn't beat South Africa. So where's this logic coming?
Did they play New Zealand in 2019? No, but they did. So he's saying that they beat South Africa and didn't beat New Zealand.
I'm talking about England. I'm talking about Kieran's logic as a whole, right? Kieran's logic is because a team beat another team last year, they can beat them at the World Cup, right? I'm saying to Kieran, okay. So question: England beat South Africa in 2018. Why didn't they beat them in the 2019 final? New Zealand beat England in 2018. Why didn't they beat them in the 2019 final?
Because there's loads of different factors that contribute to that.
No, so why are we talking about those factors now? Why aren't we talking about those factors now?
All right. Talk about the factors then. Talk about
it. The factors are, right, South Africa have more experience, New Zealand have more experience. South Africa have more depth that Ireland don't have.
I would challenge you on New Zealand having more experience because Geordie Barrett, he's never had a big role at a World Cup. He's now going to. Ioane's never had a big role at a World Cup. He will now have to.
Yeah. Ioane played wing in 2019, didn't he?
No, he didn't. He was a role player. It was Sevu Reece and George Bridge.
Yeah. But they got players like Barrett, players like Mwanga there now, and especially the forward pack is where a lot of their experience is going to come from. But looking at a team like Ireland, there's no. I wouldn't, if I was Irish, there should be no expectation for them to do well. I'm so happy for them winning the Grand Slam because they've honestly hit their peak. This is the maximum.
This is not their
players.
I know, Kieran. I will say that they can't get much better than this. I think they can maintain this peak for the World Cup, and I think that's good enough to give them a good World Cup run. I still think France will win, but I just don't see the logic behind because they were bad last World Cup, they're going to be bad this World Cup.
Yeah, but I don't see Kieran's logic on.
It's happened every single time Ireland have been to a World Cup. They've had they've had good teams in the past and just completely failed.
They've never had a team like this. They've never had a team like this.
2019,
they weren't ranked 1 in the world. They finished 3rd that Six Nations. They were ranked 1 in the world at the start of the year. But by the time they come to the World Cup, they weren't ranked 1 in the world.
They were the number 1 ranked team in 2019.
Yes, at the start of 2019, Jack. By the time it got to the World Cup, they were not the 1 ranked team.
Rohan, all I'm trying to say is Kieran's logic is flawed. It's so flawed. I'm saying to Kieran saying, because Ireland beat the All Blacks last year, they'll beat them at the World Cup, which does not make any sense.
Right. I agree with you.
Taddy, it's the most relevant game.
But Jack, sorry, Taddy. That shows that they have a chance of beating them because they've done it.
Any chance, but Rohan, there's when you go into a World Cup, let's look at simple laws of probability. There's always a chance for anything. There's always a chance. Like let's be completely logical here. There's always a chance for anything, right?
Yeah.
And there's a very high chance the Ireland are not going to make it out, even maybe not even out the pools, and definitely won't make it past the quarters.
Don't stay in the pool stage.
Well, I would flip that and say that so we're talking about Ireland up against New Zealand here, yeah?
Yeah.
So if Ireland can beat a team away from home in a 3-test series,
yeah,
surely that makes them favourites when they come and play in the next game.
Add some context. Add some context how they beat them. This wasn't New Zealand. The way New Zealand were in that game isn't how they finished off the year, was it? This wasn't the best New Zealand team. This New Zealand team.
Tadi, it's the most relevant. Tadi, it's the most relevant game they've last played in. That's the point. That gives Ireland a chance. If they can beat the All Blacks in a Test series in New Zealand, that shows they're more than capable of beating New Zealand.
Which All Black teams did they beat? Kieran, who was the starting backline for the All Black team? Can you tell me?
That isn't the point, Tadi. It's not on. It's not in Ireland.
It's very relevant.
It's very relevant. It is relevant.
Since that game, who have New Zealand played? Since they lost their final test to Ireland, who have New Zealand played?
South Africa. Well, obviously the Rugby Championship games.
Yeah, so they lost to South Africa.
Yeah, that's obviously not like.
Did they or did they not lose to Argentina as well?
Argentina beat every team.
I'm sorry. Wait. Let me bring some up. England lost to Argentina. Kieran said that they're still title contenders. So why are we bringing that up?
Yeah, Kieran. This is what I'm saying. Kieran's logic.
No, I'm not. Listen. I'm not Kieran, am I? So when I bring up Argentina, don't say that Kieran's bringing up Argentina.
No. We're talking about Kieran here. All I'm saying is Kieran's picking and choosing here, right? So whenever it's about South Africa, let's hate on South Africa. But whenever it's about Ireland, let's praise Ireland. Make it make sense, please.
Right. That's a separate issue. Kieran obviously has an agenda against.
Thank you.
But he's not wrong about Ireland and how well
he's very wrong because his logic is wrong. All right, guys. Looking into
I don't know how you can turn against Ireland and say they're not World Cup players, they're not this, they're not that. When they're consistently beating teams week in, week out, and beating
they choked historically, and they're choking again.
Listen. All right, okay. Well, by that logic, okay, historically, South Africa have never beaten New Zealand in a world. Well, since 1995, they haven't beaten New Zealand at a World Cup. So if we're going based on history, then New Zealand will beat South Africa.
That's not ridiculous to say. And I'm not disagreeing. We're talking about Ireland, right? We're talking about Ireland, right?
Yeah, you have South Africa. You have South Africa World Cup, don't you?
Yeah, but I reckon South Africa could beat France. So I reckon, and I think France is going to come second. So I have us playing France.
Okay, but then against New Zealand at some point.
That is true. But
Tadi, isn't France, Ireland, New Zealand, and South Africa all on the same side for the quarter?
Yeah.
So two of those teams, one of those teams will get to the final.
Yeah.
See, now this is an argument I can get behind. The fact that the draw doesn't favour Ireland.
Exactly.
The problem is I don't see Ireland beat New Zealand, either New Zealand or France, and then either South Africa. Like I just don't see that.
They haven't got the bottle for it.
If they win in the quarterfinals, then they have someone from the other side. So they'll either have England, Australia, Fiji, Wales, someone like that. If they win in the quarterfinals, they win in the quarterfinals. They've got.
How does it work?
So A and B, which is the Ireland side.
Yeah.
So first of A plays second of B. First of B plays second of A.
Yeah.
And then that's quarters. And then the winners of those quarters will then play the winners of the quarters on the other side.
Okay.
In the center.
So if Ireland win that first quarterfinal, which is not impossible, then they have a route into the final. The same is said for whoever wins out of the four. But you see where I'm going?
Yeah.
It's the World Cup will be decided in the quarterfinals. And I would not put it past Ireland to win a quarterfinals. And I know they've never done it before, but we're talking about history.
So, guys, I guess just time to wrap it up then. How do we see Ireland doing in the long run? I'm personally just going to start off and say group stage quarterfinals should be that would be as I said, I'm happy for Ireland, but we need to just bring them back down to earth and be realistic with their expectations. But many congratulations to them.
I see Ireland win the World Cup. I'll say it now. It's not even ridiculous. Tadi, you laugh, but they're beating teams. Only you on this podcast can hate on a team that is winning and beating literally the best teams in the world. Only you could do that.
Because you're not bringing up the context. Context is important.
I can't have context, Tadi. I can't have context. But all you're going to bring up is the World Cup 20 years ago. I can't bring up context. You're not going to do that.
I'm talking context in the sense of what sort of New Zealand team did they beat? They beat South Africa without a kicker. Those are the things you're failing to realise. Kieran, that is context.
Tadi, that is not in. Yeah, but Tadi, that is not in Ireland's
control. You can't say that Valemza's not a kicker. You can't say that Valemza's not a kicker, Tadi. He had a bad kicking game. He slotted the winning kick against Wales.
Rohan, Rohan, you just do your prediction.
Tadi, listen.
Okay. All right. Okay, so my prediction is at best semi-finals. I think they can win a World Cup, but I don't think they will.
No, they haven't got
this quarter-final exit, and I can't. I'm going to laugh as much as Eddie Jones laughed at England when they lost to France. I can't.